I have struggled with depression and anxiety and not knowing, sometimes pulling over on the side of the road and just saying, I don't know if I can do tomorrow. Okay, so Libby, first, I just want to ask you about your relationship with Ark Farms. We're going to be okay about this?
A very long relationship.
Yeah, so when it started, like, okay, first of all, what does it mean to you that you have been a part of the Ark Farms internships, no scabs, and training programs?
It's a very big question.
It's a huge question.
Especially with how long we've been here.
I know. So do you want to go back kind of to the beginning? You started as a what?
Started as a summer camp attendee.
Yeah, that was the first internship, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we don't do our summer camps as camps. We do them as internships because we asked a bunch of teenagers what they need, and they said, not another camp. You can't put that on your resume.
Oh, no.
And so we started with an internship. And can you describe what it was like being an intern out here?
It was new. It was very new. I had been to so many summer camps already, and it was just, okay, here's all these things that you're supposed to do at this time and this time and this time, and we kind of usher you around all these different things. But here it was we got to choose what we got to do. So we would walk around the farm, we would say, hey, this is something that I want to work on, and then we would just group up and go. And that was very refreshing for somebody who had never been here before.
Yeah.
So it was very refreshing, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, so it's really more organic because you're actually taking ownership. Because whose farm is this, Libby?
It's our farm.
It's our farm. We asked, whose farm is this? And resounding,
it's our farm.
Because you own it. Like, this is your land. This doesn't belong to me. This is your land. This is your opportunity. This is your responsibility. That's your pasture. That's your field. That's the grass that you grew.
And I felt that from the first day, and I felt it 10 times more by the end, because I could walk my parents or my friends around the farm and go, hey, I made this, I fixed that. I could do all this different stuff instead of just like a little craft to bring home each day.
So did you have all those skills? Like the skills like you've done, I'm sure, welding in the shop and working with power tools?
I had none of that. I was in 6th or 7th grade when I came here for the first time. So at first it was very daunting of, there's power tools here. I've never laid eyes on one of these myself. And then a week or two later, and I'm walking around with the power saw or a chainsaw, driving a tractor.
We invent badasses. That's what we do. People say, what do you raise at your farm? And I'm like, incredible humans. That's what I raise at my farm.
And chickens.
And chickens. Lots of chickens. So that's really cool. So as an intern, after you finish your internship, you become paid staff at the farm. You're a facilitator. What was it like to share those skills with other humans and to like build that into other people?
Honestly, it was kind of scary because it was still, I'd been here, I think, for a year before I started as a facilitator. I was like, I still just learned this myself, but I was still kind of building that confidence with those skills and in myself personally. So it was definitely a learning experience and a growing experience.
Yeah. Well, and I think when you're sharing what you're learning, it pulls it up bigger, and, and it plumbs it deeper. Like the knowledge, you have to really, really know what you're doing, especially if you're like, let me show you how to run this chainsaw. Okay, where's the safety? So it's
gotta make sure you know before you tell somebody else.
Yeah, for sure. And at that time, you're like a 13, 14-year-old facilitator. So all of our staff are not adults. Like they're supervising people who can train in their modules or the skill that they know, but all of our staff are you guys. And that's really important because we live very differently out here, don't we?
Oh yes.
Can you speak to, so I've mentioned a little bit about no scabs, which is no sarcasm, criticism, accusing, blaming, shaming. We brainwash them. It's so good. So can you speak to what no scabs means, or particularly what it means to you?
Well, especially, it changes the longer I spend time with it.
Yeah.
So when I first was introduced to no scabs, I was immediately like, am I going to be able to do this? Because sarcasm was like my main sense of humor.
how am I gonna talk?
Yeah, so when people first started that little chant of what no scabs is, I was like, how am I going to learn this? This is very daunting again. But as we took each day to kind of spend time with it and what that means to us and how we use it for ourselves and for others, it really changed both how I interact with myself and with my peers, my coworkers, my family.
Yeah. So it didn't just happen at this farm.
Oh, absolutely
You took
not.
no scabs. I remember you called me once and you were like, I think you were at the high school and you're like, okay, help me remember the words for this because I'm teaching this to my school friends because you wanted, I think you were in band or something at the time and you were like, I want them to do no scabs. Like
it wasn't even me just throwing it at people. It was I accidentally just on instinct said no scabs when somebody like insulted somebody else in our friend group as a joke. They were like, what did you just say? So I was like, well, hold on. I had to go make sure I said it right.
So it's so cool because it's organic and people people will ask you like what something's different about you. Like at home for sure. Yeah, that's really quick.
Definitely a big shift from pre to post farm.
Yeah, exactly. So well, that's really encouraging. And I just love how we've had so many people who were like, no scabs changed my life. Libby, you changed my life. I was just telling you, okay, working really hard to hold the waterworks right now. So you and I were just talking. I know.
Deep breath.
Oh, God, I can do this. Okay, grateful moment.
Oh, I miss those.
Yeah, nothing like a grateful moment. Just take it in. Listen to nature and sound around you. There are little raindrops trying to be here with us, and we're just going to enjoy them and be thankful for them. Okay. Can I tell a story about the first internship?
Yes.
If I can get to hold it together. Okay. So the very first internship, we had done summer camps and we had trained ex-felons, ex-offenders in welding and training. And we really wanted to give this back to teenagers. And we had set up the youth advisory board. They had told us what they wanted for the farm, and we had all of this stuff, and we kind of had the platform of no scabs, but we'd never really done it before. So like y'all invented the whole, like y'all codified that. Your group did.
Yes.
But that first year we weren't ready. And we knew how to do some things, but I remember I called my mom and I said, I don't have the staff. I don't have the funding. I don't have my stuff together. And I just don't know how I'm going to get it all ready. I've got it starts next Monday or whatever it was. And my mom said, Abby, or I think it was like a week away. And she's like, Abby, no, it was the next Monday. She said, Abby, just why don't you just postpone it? Like maybe start in July. Don't start it in June. Maybe start it next year. Just give it. You don't have to do it right now. And I saw your face. That hit middle school was pretty crappy.
Oh yeah.
So like if you're in middle school and it's really tricky and horrible, that's standard. That's not you. You didn't do that. You don't deserve that. That's everybody's. You are not alone. That's everybody. I don't think anybody I know would say, I would go back to being 13. I would know. That's a hard no. But I remember I saw your face and I knew just from your being part of your story a little bit during the school year. There were a couple times during the school year that we thought we might not have a Libby anymore. Yeah. Because that was like pretty severe depression.
Depression and anxiety was rampant in middle school for me.
Yeah.
So
it's really, really hard. And this is a tough conversation, a tough topic, but you thought about ending your life. Only once?
I think maybe twice.
Yeah. And I remember thinking, okay, it would be easier for me to postpone this. But Libby, like I can't not do this just because it's hard, because there's someone else waiting on the other side of my decision, and there's someone else who needs to be alive, and you're worth it. And so, spoiler alert, she's still here.
Hello.
So we started that first internship. Y'all taught us how to do no scabs. We did it right here in this fire pit space. And you codified the language for unscabsing ourselves and unscabsing one another, which will be in our first training module soon. Woo. But woo. Everybody go out and buy that. That's important.
Oh, yes.
But change your life. And you found out a lot about who you are. We had a lot of conversations in that barn over there. We had
up there and over there.
I remember one day you and I were walking in from Bill's paddock. I don't know what you came out here for that day. I was like, run with me. We'll go check the fences.
I came out here for anything and everything.
We were like, hey, we need water. I'll bring water. So you were walking in and you said, hey, Miss Abby, I've been taking dance lessons. You were doing dance for you were doing dance
I was
for
doing Winter Guard.
You were doing Winter Guard. And I was like, you're dancing in front of people. That was not you when I met you. You were like this wallflower, this kind of doormat. Like like anyone could say anything, and you just all went through. And here is this strong, capable woman. You said, I've been doing Winter Guard, and I've really enjoyed it. And I wonder if you would be a recommendation for me for
drum major.
And I was like, you're going to lead the band. Are you kidding me right now? Like, you just like, whoa. And it was like, one was June and the other was like the next August. And I was like, how'd you do that? I mean, so it was incredible. And you said, I asked you, I said, how, Libby, how did you go from being that person who we didn't even know if you were going to make it to tomorrow to this person, this incredible human who's like, and I'm going to lead everything and all the things you don't expect. And you said, the farm just came along.
When I needed the farm.
When you needed the farm. A really important time for you.
Oh, yeah.
Can you share a little bit about, can you unpack a little bit of that feeling?
I think before I came to the farm, I was very stuck in a rut. So it was just, I wake up, I go to school, I come home, I sit in my room all day, and then I go back to sleep and I do it again. And it was a vicious cycle, and my mental health did not appreciate it.
No.
There wasn't really, I live in a suburb, so, there's nature here and there, but nothing like this. So,
Heaven.
Oh, yes. So being able to hear about this place and come out here was quite literally a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And it completely changed how I saw everything.
Yeah.
This is hard.
Including yourself?
Especially myself.
Yeah.
Because that was the foundation of everything.
Can you say more about that?
I changed how I see myself, and it changes not only how I see others, but how I interact with others, and how I just hold myself in a group. So like you said before, when I first came here, we would have the group fire pit where 10, 20 people maybe?
Yeah.
Always in the back of that group.
Always. Standing right on the periphery.
The very edge. And being able to see how much I can have an impact.
Hey, I cried. You totally can. No scabs. No scabs. So there's no shaming. Yeah. Just feel free. Yeah. You don't have to, but you can. You can say anything you want to.
No, it's good tears.
It's good tears.
I realized that I can have more impact in the center than the corner of the room.
Damn. What an incredible thing to say.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that felt good.
I felt the release there.
We release you.
Oh, yeah.
You feel like you can have a greater impact in the center than in the corner of the room. Mm-hmm. My God, thank you for being you. You began to emerge in your own story. Mm-hmm. You began to appear. You made a decision that you told me about at the top of that hill. Mm-hmm. and you invited me. Do you remember what you invited me to when I collapsed to the ground and cried like a baby?
My baptism.
I was just like,
about how I am now.
yeah. And I said, where is this coming from? And you said it was in our story. It was in Ark Farms. It was in living out of the tree of life and not the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not a religious organization and by any stretch of the imagination, but you can't miss the grace to be who you are if you're
absolutely.
out here. There is such a freedom, such a liberty, and you were really set free.
Absolutely.
What else has emerged in your life? So you, back then, you were Libby, and now you go by Sage.
Yes.
So I don't know, like, do you want to talk about that? You
Sure. I feel like it's not just the farm, but it was definitely the starting point or the launching point. I feel like it just kind of removed the ceiling of my growth as a person.
Yeah. Who you have to be as opposed to can be.
Exactly.
Yeah. Remove the ceiling. I'm going to steal that. That'll be in the book.
Oh, yeah.
That just remove the ceiling.
Oh, yeah. I feel like this space, how do I word this?
It's permission to be you.
Yeah. And to change that if I realize it's not what I'm going to be. I don't know if you remember this all that well, but each year I was here, like I said, we always started the day by walking around and choosing what tasks we were going to work on.
Can you
choose
see?
Our groups. Yes, I can see.
And yes, I can see.
And
you better say it loud too.
Oh, absolutely. And I could never settle on one project or one task.
I love that about you. She's like, I'm with the horses. And then she's like, why are you driving the tractor?
And then I want the warehouse and all these other things. And this was the first place where I could really not only choose one thing to focus on, but I could choose everything.
I love that. Again, another line in the book. We're writing this down.
Oh, yes. So I remember so vividly, my main task was a little bit of everything at the farm. So I would run around between each group and I would say, what do you need? And then I would go get it and I'd go find something else to work on.
Yeah.
And that, again, changed my outlook on a lot of things.
Yeah.
From like work and academics to just myself.
Yeah.
So my shift from Libby to Sage was my sophomore year of high school. And I realized that I'm non-binary. So I use they, them pronouns. I go by Sage. But I know that people have known me as Libby for so long. So it's a learning curve, but
it is.
It's a growth.
And with my brain surgery and some of my ability, sometimes I can't remember my name. So plus out here, she eventually became known as the Libanator.
Oh, yes.
So I'm like, I can't say Genator. It doesn't roll off the tongue. So I'll give you that, but I'm bringing back Libanator.
Absolutely.
So Sage, your story of really exploring and figuring out that there isn't a ceiling for you. And I know that a lot of people don't understand the need for a teenager to have the freedom to unpack themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And in our culture, we are in the ground. We are sitting on the ground in Memphis, Tennessee right now, and Bartlett, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of space in the Mid-South or in the South in general in our culture and our customs, and sometimes in our family. I'm really grateful to your family for being really understanding.
Yes.
And having compassion that human beings are multifaceted, and it takes a while to figure out, like, remove that ceiling and let people explore.
Absolutely.
There are parents who are terrified that their kids are going to come home and say, I want to change my name. And I'm not advocating that kids need to do things that are dangerous for themselves. I think that's crazy. I don't want to cause harm. We're youth empowerment, not youth endangerment.
Yes.
But I do. So I don't think that everything is a green light as far as like things that are harmful. But if you're in a state, if being non-binary allows you to live in the tree of life, then move towards life.
Absolutely.
Whatever life looks like. And because you don't have a ceiling, if that in 5 years goes another direction or this direction or changes, you have a permission slip to grow. And I love, she raises her eyebrows. She's like, do you see that? I sure can. She's incredible.
Oh, yes. I draw the roadmap as I go.
You draw the roadmap as you go. You write this book. They did. I'm telling you, this book is all about teenagers and rescue animals and how you guys have taught us how to live. I mean, really the life lessons. You draw the roadmap as you go because you're still like this place, evolving and growing and becoming. When we got this land, there was maybe soybeans in that field, and up at the top of the hill was some corn, and none of this existed. This pond wasn't here, the barn, none of it. There wasn't a stake in the ground. And someone had to have vision, not me. And someone had to come out here and say, I can see. And it wasn't here yet, and it took a lot of sweat.
There wasn't even someone to say, can you see yet?
I just said, I can see, and I'd walk out here and I'd go, restore everything, every human, every animal, everything. If it's out here, and once you cross that red gate and you come out here, the sky's the limit.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, we do ask the 3 magical questions. Yeah. Is it beneficial? Does it make sense? Did it work?
Yeah.
You know, the boys added a 4th question.
They did.
Yeah, the boys decided we were trying to break ice on the pond behind me. It freezes in Memphis sometimes. And it was like we were like throwing cinder blocks out there. It's not breaking. And so like there were I'm not even going to say how we broke ice that year because that was definitely erring on the side of endangerment. So I was like, hey guys, 3 questions. Is it beneficial? Does it make sense? Did it work? And they go, was it worth it? Was it worth it? I was like, yeah, that was worth it. We got video.
Gotta add that to the list.
Can I just say it was Aaron Schenkel?
Really?
Aaron Schenkel and KJ who were coming up with the solution. And I was like, I did draw the line at gunfire. I was like, no. You're not putting gunpowder out there.
No.
No, that would not. Safety. There have to be some guardrails. I'm really proud of you. What are you doing now?
So I'm now a foreign language major with a minor in linguistics.
Yeah.
And I'm focusing on either.
Oh my gosh, that was my major.
Yeah. So I'm working towards either being a German translator or going for a master's in library science to be a librarian.
Okay. You know, the foreign service needs you too. Like that'd be so much fun. Anyway, you can do whatever you want to do. I mean, you're no scabs. So
I'll add it to the list.
Just put it on the list. They need you bad. But you didn't start as a linguist or foreign language. You started as...
I started as a mechanical engineering major.
That's what we do to people at the farm.
Oh,
we
yes.
get out here and you're like, I can for sure drive that track hoe and skid steer. Like
there's another thing I can learn? Cool.
So they all like, yeah, that's really incredible. But even with that, even with going out engineering pretty far away from German and this liberal arts edge now, but you don't have a ceiling on you.
Nope.
And so you get to explore and you get to draw the roadmap as you go.
Even with one decision, I have multiple branches that I can pursue.
It's amazing. She's amazing. I'm so glad that, okay, here it goes again. I am so glad that you invented Ark Farms with us. And, you know, in the beginning, you needed us in order for you to have life. And you've got a lot of life.
Oh, yes.
But I want you to know in the last 3 years, when we closed down the full-time programs at this farm and I adopted out the animals and loaded up the horses and the donkeys and chickens. Oh, God, it was so hard. And it's been a lot of heartbreak in letting that go, but unless a seed falls to the ground and dies, it cannot reproduce. And so I've had to let this go. I've had to let this land go, and I think maybe as of tomorrow it will be sold. But in order for us to, that's important in order for us to be able to have Ark Farms programs all over the world. Like it cannot be limited to people who can come from Bartlett or Memphis or around this area. People want this program everywhere.
We can't hide this from everybody else.
We can't hide this from everybody else. This needs to be everywhere. But I want you to know Sage, that in the last 3 years, trying to make this transition, I have struggled with depression and anxiety and not knowing, sometimes pulling over on the side of the road and just saying, I don't know if I can do tomorrow. Just, I didn't want to end my life, and I didn't want to die, but I just couldn't figure out how I was going to friggin' do tomorrow. It's just too hard.
Yeah.
And I would see your face. And I would say, I cannot do that to Libby. Sage, I want to see what becomes of her, and I want to see where her story goes, and I don't want to miss a minute. And you have been life to me. And I think if we can say anything to people who are listening, if anyone's still listening to this, we cried an awful lot.
Oh, yeah.
I would say, for anyone who's struggling to make it to tomorrow, just hold your breath and keep going. It's worth it. There is life on the other side of your decision. And there you will find an ecosystem and a place, and hopefully we'll get to your community soon and teach folks at your school or where you live how to do no scabs. There's a whole lot of branches, and we can do life. We can build life together. People ask me, they go, what does build life together mean? And it's this. We're building life together. So we do a no scabs languaging thing, and I'm just going to add this on for Mark or for whoever. So can we just do a couple of unscabs for each other? Okay. So the language, we're going to skip the S, the first one. That's scabs. Sarcasm is hiding. And so we give ourselves a shout out. Can you give yourself a shout out? Because that's putting yourself in the spotlight.
What's the language for shout out again?
You just give yourself a shout out for anything. So for the shout outs, like, hey, you know what's awesome? I did this today, or I woke up, or I'm proud of me for whatever. So just put yourself in the spotlight.
I'm really proud of myself for letting all of my facets show.
Yeah. That was good. So, and then criticism says there's something wrong with you. And so to unscabs is to reverse that language. And I would say there's something great about you. And what I value about that is, so in the first round, we talk about ourselves, but in the second round, we get to unscab someone else. And I would like to unscabs you. All right. So, Sage. I almost said Libby. Sage. One thing I value about you is your incredible courage. And what I value about that is your courage makes the world safe for everybody else to be who they are. And so I thank you for being exactly who you are.
Thank you.
So accusing would say, I know what you did. We're just going to skip that one for a minute because I know a lot of what you did.
Oh, yeah.
Because accusing says, I know what you did. And so we would go, ooh, I saw what you did.
Yeah.
Way to be you. And sometimes yourself. Can we do blaming? Oh, you can do it. You can do. So blaming says, this happened and it's all your fault. So to unblame someone, to unscab someone for blaming, we would say, this happened and it wouldn't have happened without you. And so you do it. You do blaming. This happened and it wouldn't have been possible without you. So,
without me or without you?
Well, you could do me.
All right.
You can do anybody.
I am pursuing learning multiple foreign languages, and that would not have happened without you.
Yes. Хорошо, очень хорошо. Молодец. Yeah, I speak 6 languages, so it's keep it on the down low.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. And our favorite, do you want to do round one? Yeah, shaming. We always cry.
Oh, yeah.
So, do you want to do unrealistic? You want to do level 1 or level 2? Unrealistic or imaginary? So there's a different language depending on if you're doing this for level 1 or level 2. I'm going to do level 1 and you do level 2.
Yeah.
Okay. So level 1 says, I release myself today from the unrealistic expectation that I have to know what's going to happen next. And then we take a deep breath together. And we just experience that. And then you're going to do imaginary expectation. So I release myself from the imaginary expectation that I have to be. And that's whatever it is to make you feel valid or meaningful in your community or whatever, or to be able to connect. What is the thing? I release myself today from the imaginary expectation.
I release myself from the imaginary expectation that I always have to be super upbeat and positive, and I can talk about the difficult things sometimes.
Yeah. And we'll take our deep breath. We release you. I'm so grateful that you came today. I'm so grateful that you made it to the next day to come the first time. And I love you for all that is you. And if you've got someone out there and they're trying to figure out where they are in their story, I just encourage you to let them keep exploring, write their story as they go. Would you say draw the map as you are in the journey?
Hand them the pen.
Hand them the pen. Hand them the pen. Hand them the pen. Hand them the pen. And if you're out there and you're a teenager or kiddo and you're trying to figure out how to navigate your story, just know this. You don't have to put your flag in the ground and say, this is my anchor, I'm never moving off of here. That's just not true, is it? No. You're not like always depressed or always a this or always happy or always. We are multifaceted beings, and I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to love on Libby for a minute. Sage. Mwah. Okay, thank you so much for this.
And thank you for having me.
Yeah, and just remember, building life together is an us together thing. All right, love you guys.
Bye.